Changing Skies by Erin Hunter. The Elder's Quest. Book 1. Chapter 1. Sunhigh was not far off, but the pale rays of the leaf-false sun had not yet banished the chill from the forest. As Tawny Pelt emerged from the Shadow Clan camp, she fluffed out her tortoiseshell fur and raised her muzzle to sniff the air. "Great Star Clan, it's cold," Spireclaw muttered. He had followed Tawny Pelt out of camp and halted at her shoulder. And Leaf Bear hasn't even begun. What will it be like in another moon? "We'll worry about that when the time comes," Tawny Pelt told him briskly. "For now, there should still be plenty of prey around." By now, the rest of the hunting patrol, Whirlpelt and Bloompetal, had appeared, beckoning with her tail for them to follow. Tawny Pelt set out. Where the dark pines cast their shadows, frost still edged the grasses, and the ground felt like stone beneath her path. "Where are we going?" Whirlpelt asked. "I thought we would try the boggy place, just this side of the little thunder path," Tawny Pelt replied. "There should be a few juicy frogs there to feed the clan." "Yuck, I hate it down there," Bloompetal exclaimed. "Forget I call you muddy. Are you a kitty pet or a warrior?" Tawny Pelt bit back the harsh words. The young black she-cat had only recently received her warrior name, and she was still adjusting to her new duties. "We'll be lucky if the muddy paws are all we have to worry about," Tawny Pelt responded, deliberately making her voice mild as she glanced back over her shoulder. "Anyway, the ground is hard. It won't be so bad. I think we should go the other way near the two-leg den on the edge of the territory," Spireclaw meowed. "That's a really good place for birds." "Yeah, let's do that," Bloompetal agreed enthusiastically. "I'm great at catching birds. I caught a sparrow yesterday." "Sure you did," after Pounced practically hurled it into your claws. "Then let's go." Spireclaw's tone was eager, and he veered around as if heading towards the two-leg den. Tawny Pelt felt the fur on her shoulders begin to bristle. She halted and turned to face the other cats. "Who is leading this patrol? You or me?" "You are, Tawny Pelt," Spireclaw responded instantly. "Sorry." Tawny Pelt gave him a brusque nod and was turning away when she spotted Bloompetal rolling her eyes. "Did you have something to say to me, Bloompetal?" she asked. Bloompetal steadied her paws. "No," she muttered. "Then keep your opinions to yourself," Tawny Pelt hissed. "I'm so done with being nice," she thought. Do I have to send you back to camp on tick duty?" "No, Tawny Pelt." "Then let's get on with it." "Stinkling. When did new warriors stop showing respect to us seniors?" Tawny Pelt wondered with an irritated shake of her pelt. "It was never like this when I was young." She led her patrol in silence until they reached the edge of the marshy ground. Reeds and long grasses stretched ahead of them as far as the lake, dry and shrunken. Now, with the early frost, tiny streams meandered among the tussocks of grass, widening out here and there into hollow pools edged with a thin cover of ice. At first, she gazed out across the marsh. Tawny Pelt couldn't see any sign of prey, but soon flickers of movement showed where frogs were lurking, their greenish-brown skins hardly visible against the boggy ground. "We're going to fan out," she began. "Whirlpelt, go into that direction. And Spireclaw, you go that way." She showed the direction by waving her tail. "Start driving the frogs towards me, and Bloompetal. Start driving the frogs towards me and Bloompetal so we can pick them off." "Shouldn't we all start moving in on them?" Spireclaw suggested. "Like a trap. Like trap them in the middle of the circle. I vote we do that. I'm so cold and standing here waiting." "I don't recall asking for a vote," said Tawny Pelt. Tried to pull out a frost of the chilly day into her tone. But okay, Bloom Petal. You can stop if you don't want to stand around. Whirlpout, you stay with me. The two young cats set off in the directions Tiny Pal had indicated, while she and Whirlpout waited, crouching behind a clump of reeds. Do you remember how Nightheart caught frogs? Whirlpout asked after a while. That day he was being tested to become a Shadow Clan cat. Tiny Pal snorted of laughter. Yes, laying a trail of flies to choke the frogs in the deep hole. It worked, too. She ducked her paws farther underneath her in an effort to keep them warm. It's a pity it's too cold for flies today, and we would try it. Whirlpout muttered in agreement. Those two are certainly taking their time, he mewed. There should be frogs coming our way by now. The gray and white Tom was right. Tiny Pal realized she could still spot movement from frogs deeper in the marsh, but they didn't seem aware of danger creeping up on them. Finally, a single frog hopped into range. Whirlpout flashed out a paw and struck it in a killing blow. Thank you, Sparkler, for the prey, he sighed. But where are all your brothers and sisters? Tiny Pal could feel her muscles cramping from the cold and her annoyance rising with every moment that passed. It was obvious that Sparkler and Bloom Petal hadn't done what they were supposed to. I've had enough of this. I'm going to see what they're up to. Whirlpout nodded. Okay, I'll stay here and wait. I'll stay here and see what I can catch. Tiny Pal headed around the edge of the marsh in the direction she had sent Spireclaw. But before she had gone many fox lengths, she spotted the black and white Tom heading toward her, with Bloom Petal just behind him. What do you think? Tiny Pal began, but then broke off and halted in amazement. The jaws of the two young cats were full of frogs. Spireclaw had 3 and Bloom Petal was carrying 2. Bloom Petal bounded up to Tiny Pal and dropped her prey at the senior warrior's paws. Spireclaw showed me a really good trick. He told me to run around the frogs in a circle and make the circle smaller and smaller, so when the frogs tried to leap away, he could grab them. It was fun. Spireclaw had obviously caught Tiny Pal's grim look. We thought you would be pleased, he meowed in a small voice. Tiny Pal took a deep breath. The two young cats had done well. This wasn't the time to start scolding them. I am pleased, she responded. A great catch, but next time let the leader of your patrol know what you're doing, Whirlpout. I have been freezing our tails off back there. Sorry, Spireclaw muttered. Okay then, scoop up your prey and we'll head back to camp. Beckoning with her tail, Tiny Pal turned towards the way back to where Whirlpout was waiting. As she moved, she spotted Spireclaw and Bloom Petal exchanging a happy, proud look. They got a bit of praise, but not much scolding. She sighed inwardly. But have they learned anything? A gray and white Tom sprang to his paws and joined the others, carrying a single piece of rescue. I'm impressed, he murmured, nodding toward the two younger cats, laden with prey. I'm frustrated, Tiny Pal hissed in reply. They don't listen to a single word I told them, and they still stroll up with their jaws full. I tell you, Whirlpout, I've just about had it with these young cats. Whirlpout shrugged, a glimmer of amusement in his eyes. Tiny Pal, you should know by now what young cats are like. Tiny Pal's only response was a growl. She felt even worse because she hadn't managed to catch a single frog. As she made her way back to camp at the head of her patrol, Tiny Pal felt a hot weight of anger and loss growing in her belly. Why are all the Shadow Clan cats so young? She asked herself. There's not a single warrior of my age left alive. Thinking back on the warriors she'd known and lost over the seasons of her life, she laid their deaths at the paws of her father, the first tiger star of Darktail of Souls, and the impostor Ashfur, who had deceived so many cats. I still feel strong, she reflected. I have many seasons left to serve my clan, but sometimes it feels kept up in me like I belong in the eldest. Back in the camp, Tiny Pal tried to feel satisfaction as her clanmates dropped their prey on the fresh kill pile. After all, they'd caught a decent amount. It would go a long way toward feeding the clan today. Glancing around the clearing, she felt the weight in her belly begin to dissolve as she spotted Lightleaf and Blazefire curled up together at the entrance of the nursery. "Are the kids inside?" she asked, hurrying over to them. "Can I have a peep?" "You could if they were," Lightleaf said, "but they're with Oakfur." "Again," Blazefire added with a growl of laughter, waving his tail toward the Elder's Den. "They love his stories." "I'll go and visit," Tawny Pelt meowed before heading over for the Elder's Den. Tawny Pelt darted over to the fresh kill pans, snatched up a thrush, prey that she knew was Oakfur's favorite. Then she trotted across the camp and slid under the low-growing pine branches that sheltered the den. When we came over the hill, we saw the lake and all the clan territories lying in front of us. Oakfur was meowing, and then we knew that we had found our new home. He's telling them about the great journey. Tawny Pelt thought. Oakfur had mentioned Tawny Pelt herself in the Tiger Star. She remembered her time learning from him with respect and warm affection. Now, Oakfur was one of the oldest cats in the clan. She'd been born in the old forest, and he remembered the time when Nightstar had been the leader of Shadow Clan. So much of their clan's story had taken place under his watchful gaze. Now he was passing on his wisdom to the youngest members. At first, no cat noticed Tawny Pelt as she entered the den. The kids were rapt, concentrating on Oakfur's story, and the old brown Tom seemed to be looking into the distance as if he could still see the clans as they poured over the row of the hill and headed down to claim their territories by the lake. Then, as Oakfur finished speaking, he looked up. "Is that good for me, Tawny Pelt?" he purred. Before Tawny Pelt could reply, all three kids spun around and hurled themselves at her, letting out squeaks of excitement. Tawny Pelt staggered and slid to one side, losing her grip on the thrush. "Have you been hunting?" "No." "Have you been hunting?" Quick Kid asked, his ginger tabby fur bristling with excitement. "Did you catch lots?" We want to go hunting," his brother Beach Kid added. "I'm going to be the best hunter in the clan." "No, I am." Quick Kid leapt on top of his litter mate, and the two tomcats rolled around the den in a waving knot of ginger and pale brown fur. Polecat nipped aside to avoid them, then hurtled down on the den floor with her paws tucked under her. "Tawny Pelt, look, this is my hunter's crouch. Spruce Paw showed me how." Tawny Pelt rescued the thrush and laid it at Oakfur's paws. "That's very good," she told Polecat. "Make sure you come back from camp. Now, show me how you stalk." Quivering with concentration, Polecat crept up, paw step by paw step, to where her brothers were still wrestling. Then she flung herself on top of them. "Got you," she squealed. "Got both of you. 2 rabbits to feed the plant." Tawny Pelt exchanged an amused glance with Oakfur. Sometimes it amazed her to think that these were the kids of her son's daughter. In spite of all that, the cats who had been lost, the family she had created with her own claw, still continued. Her chest swelled with pride as she watched and saw how active and inquisitive they were. Polecat rolled off her brothers and sat up, beginning to wash her paws with a thoughtful look on her face. Even though she played with the others, Tawny Pelt reflected she was quietest of the three. She reminded Tawny Pelt so much of her own daughter, Dawn Pelt, who had died at Dirktail's paws. "Is something wrong?" she asked Polecat. "Is something wrong?" she asked Polecat. The young she-cat gave her paw one last lick and drew it over her misty white shoulder fur. "I'm confused about Oakfur's stories," she meowed. "When he was telling us about our ancestor Rowan Claw, he called him Rowan Star, but that isn't right, is it?" Oakfur had a mouthful full of thrush, so it was Tiny Pelt who replied, "No, that's right. Ronclaw's the leader of Shadow Clan, so he was Lone Star." Then, after Darktail and his kin ripped Shadow Clan apart, Ronclaw swallowed his pride and gave up being leader. He gave the rest of his 9 lives back to Star Clan, and he joined our clan to Sky Clan. "But we're not part of Sky Clan now," Quick Kid exclaimed. He and Beach Kid broke apart and sat up, their eyes wide with indignation. "Why did Ronclaw do that?" Beach Kid asked. "He betrayed Shadow Clan." Tiny Pelt shook her head, her chest cramming from the pain of the memory, so that for a moment she couldn't speak. "No, it was the right thing to do at that time," she meowed at last. Ronclaw knew the Tiger Star would return and make Shadow Clan strong once more. He kept the last few warriors safe until Shadow Clan could revive. Oakfur swallowed his bite of prey, but he never lived to see it, he murmured. "No, he died saving Hop Whisker and Waxfoot back when they were just kits." Tiny Pelt told the kids. He fought like a clan leader. Oakfur added. The kids' indignation had faded. Now they looked up at Oakfur, wide-eyed and impressed. Then that's a whole new story. Cricket bounced up to the elder and crouched down at his buds. "Tell it to us." "Yes, tell us," Beach Kit begged. Polkit held back for a moment as her brothers crowded up to Oakfur. "Ronclaw must have been a mighty warrior," she meowed seriously, gazing up at Tiny Pelt. Tiny Pelt felt as though a tough bit of crowford were lodged in her throat. A few heartbeats passed before she could reply. "He was my mate, and he truly was a mighty warrior." "Ronclaw," she thought, looking down at the kids' bright faces. "How you would have loved to be here."